Do-Rag Wisdom here. We're in the third month of the birther bastard fascist invasion of our country. And the other night, Bill Maher had a fellow on, a writer, I forget his name now, who was talking about fascism and characteristics of fascism. And it's quite frightening. One of the characteristics is the dictator likes to put his name on everything. Trump hotels all over this freaking world, right? Or Trump whatever, his name everywhere. That cursed name. Hiring your relatives. This guy is plundering. He's going to make as much money off of us, the taxpayer, already in New York State, because he has that stinking garbage tower in the city. It's costing millions of dollars. He wants to have a budget that favors the military. The only thing about that budget I like is it helps the vets a little bit more. But other than that, kicking people off of Planned Parenthood, that kind of thing, destroying the environment. This guy wants a war. He's waiting for some kind of an attack to happen, some kind of a massive attack so that he could take away our rights. He and his staff are Russian operatives. They're traitors. Just keep watching it. So as a matter of trying to fight for this country, I have for you today a clip from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is a movie that was directed by Frank Capra. It starred James Stewart, Jean Arthur, Claude Rains, Edward Arnold, Beulah Bundy. The Academy Awards for that year, James Stewart won. Louis Foster, who wrote the screenplay, he won. And of course, supporting role, Harry Carey. And they won a few awards. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Frank Capra was an Italian immigrant who came to this country at the turn of the century. Imagine from all the way from Italy what that trip must have been like. And he loved his new adopted country. He grew up in it, a little kid growing up. And he became one of the finest motion picture directors ever. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It happened one night. You Can't Take It With You, American Madness. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Meet John Doe. Oh, as well as I said, It's a Wonderful Life, and his other Christmas movie, Meet John Doe, which we'll talk about another time. His films turn out to be quite prophetic. And when you watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, you get to understand that there are these rich sons of bitches who have nothing better to do than to manipulate our government by politicians, by senator, by congressmen. They've been doing it for years. We had lobbyist problems back in the 1940s, late 30s and 40s when this was made. When when Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was made. And here we are today, suffering under one of the worst scumbag, moron, dictators, oligarchs, fascists you could imagine. When you watch this clip, and this is a clip where Jefferson Smith meets Taylor, the lobbyist who controls everything. Check it out. See how relevant it is for you today, for all of us. Because we need big money out of our government. We need people to vote. We need to stop GOP voter suppression. We need, again, people to be out voting. Voting! Because right now, we've handed our country, because 50% of the people in this country didn't vote for anybody, not even a third party. We have handed over our government to enemies, to traitors, to totalitarian bastards. And just to show you how relevant it is and how prophetic it is, check out this clip.
At the point, there are 100 other places in the state that really need the water. And besides, I talked to Kenneth Allen, who owns some of that land up there. He didn't say anything about a dam. No, sir, now doggone it, there's something wrong here. I know there's something wrong. And I'm not going to vote on that thing until I get some more questions answered.
Jeff, you're fighting windmills.
I am?
Sure. You're trying to understand in a moment everything about a project that took 2 years to set up. The reasons, the benefits.
Yeah, the benefits. Who's Taylor?
What?
Taylor, what's he got to do with this thing?
Well, what makes you think he's got anything to do with it?
I've been told that this whole thing is his idea to get grabbed.
Jeff, do you know what you're saying? You're accusing me of helping to frame a bill for the benefit of one individual. Of helping to put through a scheme for graft.
Long distance. Get me Mr. James Taylor, Jackson City.
Boy Ranger, eh? Answer to a prayer. Manna from heaven. Didn't even know how to tell the time of day, eh? Will you please tell me exactly what he's done?
Yeah, he's about to blow the whole machine to smithereens, and you with it, Mr. Governor.
Me, Jim?
Yeah. How?
Well, you wouldn't understand that. Listen to me, Mr. Ten Thumbs. In about a half an hour, I'll be on my way to Washington, and no matter what happens, I'm all ready for that boy Ranger of yours. Never mind how. You take your instructions from Ken Allen here. I wouldn't trust you to lick a postage stamp. You just use your high office to help Allen get things done. Do you understand?
Yes, Jim.
I doubt it. Come on, Allen.
Honest, Jim, I haven't been able to show him a single monument. Not even one that high.
Certainly not. He's been on our tail. Jim, you've got to keep this guy off of us. Ever since he found out we represent the Willow Creek District, he's been running us ragged.
Well, this is ridiculous, Jim. I told you I'd hand him. I object to you coming here like this.
Hey, you proved how you can handle him. You're the one that started him writing bills.
That's him, Chick. Let him in.
Hey, wait a minute. Jim, you didn't ask Smith here.
What do you think?
Chick, don't open that door. Jim, you can't do this.
Let him in, Chick.
All right, Jim. You can count me out.
Oh, good morning, Senator. Come right in.
What did you mean when you said we could count you out?
Jim, you can't come here and pull that steamroller stuff. No methods won't do here. This boy's a senator. However it happened, he's a senator. This is Washington, Jim.
Steamroller stuff, Joe? My methods don't go in Washington. They've done pretty well by you, haven't they?
Oh, Jim, that's beside the point. This boy's different. He's honest. Besides, he thinks the world of me. We can't do this to him.
Well, what do you want me to do? Stand around like you chumps and let that drooling infant wrap that Willow Creek Dam appropriation around my neck? Not me. Either he falls in line with us and behaves himself, or I'll break him so wide open they'll never be able to find the pieces.
Jim, I won't stand for it.
You won't stand for it.
I don't want any part of crucifying this boy.
Oh, I see. Our steamroller methods are getting too hard for your sensitive soul, is that it? The Silver Knight is getting too big for us. My methods have been all right for the past 20 years, Joe. Since I picked you out of a fly-specked hole in the wall and blew you up to look like a senator. And now you can't stand it. Well, maybe you don't have to stand it, Joe. Maybe we can fix it so you and the boy Ranger can go home together.
Oh, Jim, now you don't have to.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. It seems a shame, though, to part company like this after all these years. Especially now with a national convention coming up. Joe, I put everything I have behind you, and so did all of our friends. But I guess we'll survive. We just got to find somebody else who's got a little more sense, that's all. In the meantime, you go in and explain to Mr. Smith about Willard Dam. It's your bill, it's your reputation, and if he can't find enough facts to break you with, you just send it to me and I'll give him a couple of good ones. I'm taking the next plane home, Joe. So long.
Jim.
Yeah.
Come here, will you? Jim, it's just that I like the kid. I don't want to see you get too rough on him.
I'm glad to see you come to your senses. You had me scared there for a minute, though. You go back to your office. I'll call you as soon as I get through with Smith.
Okay.
The Silver Knight. Ah, Senator, I was just passing through. I thought I'd like to meet you. Sit down. You met all the boys here, I suppose?
Yes, sir.
They tell me you've been right on your toes ever since you got here. Oh, that's fine. You know, some people told me that you were dumb. I think you're smart. In fact, I think you're smart enough to understand a situation when it's explained to you.
Like what, sir?
Well, for instance, building a dam on Willard Creek.
Just what's your interest in this, Mr. Taylor?
What's mine? Well, anything that benefits the state is mighty important to me. Owning a lot of its industry, newspapers, and other odds and ends. Now, if I felt that you had the welfare of the state at heart like I have, I'd say you were a man to watch. Now, what do you like? Business? If you like business, you can pick any job in the state and go right to the top. Or politics. Huh? If you like being a senator, there's no reason why you can't come back to that Senate and stay there as long as you want to. If you're smart. Now, you take the boys here, or Joe Payne. They're doing all right. They don't have to worry about being reelected or anything else. They're smart. They take my advice.
You mean you tell these men and Senator Payne what to do?
Oh, yes. And Joe Payne has been taking my advice for the past 20 years.
You're a liar.
Movies are art. When they point out the hypocrisy of society, the evil of society, the inhumanity of society, they expose it, and then they make us act. When they do this, when films do this, they become art. That's why I consider the moving image just as much art as painting and writing and sculpturing. I mean, if you want to make shit, that's fine. But if you're creating art in the movies, moving image art, you know it when you watch it and it compels you to do some positive action to help your society. Kudos, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.